We can actually, if you actually want to solve a problem, I've sent a bill to take a close look at it. We also have to get at the root problem of why people are fleeing.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a recap of Joe Biden's speech in front of a joint session of Congress last night. Well, sort of a joint session. I mean, he had about 200 people in the building. People were socially distanced and wearing masks for some reason after they just came out and said that it doesn't matter if you're 6 feet or 60 feet apart, you still can go ahead and spread it. And if you have the vaccine, which I think everybody in that building does have, then you're not really going to spread it. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of the masks and the distancing was, but different story. I digress. It was a pretty small crowd. Biden was up there for about an hour. I was kind of impressed at how long he was up there. Not at what he said or how he said it, but for how long he was up there, because I figure a guy like Joe Biden wants to go ahead and lay it on down past 8 o'clock. He may have had a nice little nap, an hour or two nap, then got up and did his speech, because he did not appear to be tired or anything up there for the hour that he spoke. There were a bunch of issues he spoke on, and what I got from the whole thing was a communist manifesto. He said that 100 days ago, I guess when he came in office, like, you know, when inauguration happened, 100 days ago, the country was on fire, but now it's not. Now, if the country was on fire back then and now it's not, my question is, what did you do to change it? What's going on today that's different than before you came into office? Okay, because a lot of people said they were going to vote for Joe Biden because there were too many shootings and mistreatment of black folks and whatnot under Trump. But I'm still seeing these police shootings happen every day. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just talking about those that voted for Joe Biden for that reason. They've not seen any relief as it relates to that. So when talking about the country being on fire, I mean, how was it on fire and how did you extinguish it? How was the fire no longer raging? That's my question. But then also, the speech was very partisan. When he would speak about a certain thing, like gun control, for some reason, he wants to talk about eliminating the quote-unquote ghost guns. Like, for some reason, you're able to go out there, get parts of a gun with uncommon tools, assemble your gun in 30 minutes and go out there and commit a mass shooting. That's not reality. But he would say things like that, and he would get applause from one side of the aisle, and the other side would be totally quiet. That's pretty much the way that it was. For a guy that wants to be a unifier and build back better and do it together, we're all in this together, it was a very, very partisan speech. Spending was a big thing here, tax and spend. That's going to be his mantra throughout his presidency, in my humble opinion. As long as he's in there, as long as he's in the batter's box, he's going to talk about taxing and spending. He wants to spend $4 trillion more dollars on top of what's already been spent for the virus relief, for things that are not virus related. Because for a while, all the tax and spend was shielded with, because, you know, the virus, the pandemic, we got to get Americans back to work, all this and that. But he wants to have 4 more years of quote unquote public education. From what I heard, and if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But from what I heard, he wants to have 2 years of pre-K public, so funded by the government, and then 2 more years after 12th grade, after your senior year in high school. Now, I'm not really sure what that would be. Would that be a community college? And if you have public education 2 more years after 12th grade, that'd be the 13th and the 14th grade, rather than going into the workforce, getting skills, starting your life off, rather than going to a real college. Because if you're talking about free college, how good is that going to be? As good as K through 12 public, which is not very good right now in the U.S. Okay. I think that a lot of people could go ahead and drop out after the 9th grade and still have a decent level of education. I did a story the other day about the young man in Baltimore with a 0.13 GPA, and he was ranked middle of the pack in his class, you know, was barely even going to school. That's what public school gets you. What's the purpose in having 2 more years after that? Why? Okay. And then my question would be, is it going to be compulsory, meaning you got to go, like required 4 more years? That seems like 4 more years of government indoctrination rather than trying to help people get better education. But I digress. He spoke about creating more jobs, but he did not speak about how a lot of these jobs are going unfilled because of government policy. Okay, you got this whole thing with the virus, and they want to, extend unemployment and all these stimulus checks and all kind of just free money, printing money. What's the point in going to work for even $15 an hour, which is what they want to do? They want to raise minimum wage still. Oh, that's kind of a dead issue. He brought it up again during the speech last night. But even if it is 15, what's the point in working for $15 an hour at 30 or 40 hours a week when I can just get this unemployment money, this government benefit money from the federal government and from a local government as well? Why work? This is a real phenomenon. You see it in the restaurant industry, especially. You see it in kind of low-end retail. It's not just me saying it. You can look anywhere, all over the internet. You can hear testimonials from business owners. If you go to some parts of your city, you may see a sign that says, my crew left and we're understaffed and they're changing hours that they have to be open because you got the managers working by themselves. This is a real thing that's happening all over the country. So he's speaking about new jobs that have been created, but what's the point in having the jobs that they can't get filled? Now, going back to the whole tax and spend thing here, he's talking about raising taxes on a fraction of the population, the wealthy. Now, I could be wrong, and if I am, again, let me know in the comments. But from what I know, he wants to raise taxes on those that make more than 200 grand a year single, 400 grand a year married. Now, is that wealthy? I mean, that's pretty well off. $400,000 a year is doing pretty good. But is that wealthy, really? I'm not really sure. I mean, when I think wealthy, I'm thinking about Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. I'm not thinking about a guy that, is an employee and works somewhere and his wife works and they're making that kind of money together. They're doing very well. They could even be considered rich, but wealthy, not necessarily so. You're not at Warren Buffett type levels yet. 400,000 is a far cry from making billions per year. That's not speaking about the small business that may make that kind of money, but they need it to operate their business. They may make that kind of money, but what are they making as far as the actual profit? And they may need to make more to hire more employees and things of that nature. So if you take that money from them, that's going to be less jobs that are available, less pay that is available, less bonuses, less investment into the business to be able to succeed. All right. And then you want to have the minimum wage on top of that. So really, from a business owner's point of view, you got the high minimum wage, $15, and then you have the higher taxes to the point where they can no longer afford to be in business. So you're going to have the Walmart, Target, Amazon, etc. They're going to come in and take over because they can afford the higher taxes. They can afford the higher minimum wage. But regular Joe Schmo, mom and pop, that may make 400, 500 grand a year, but don't make anywhere near Walmart, Amazon, etc. They'll be pretty much wiped away. So you're talking about you want to do things for the little guy, for the small guy, but you're doing things that will help the big guy. I'm seeing some weird statistics. I saw a stat that said that 85% of Americans approve of the speech that he did last night, but only 36% of Americans approve of the first 100 days in office. So it's like, how do you have that and that at the same time? So somebody's not telling the truth. Somebody's misrepresenting the statistics. So you're getting some weird sample data. I'm not really sure why that is, but I don't think that most Americans who don't already like Biden would approve of the speech, because nothing in there was like middle of the road, olive branch, any kind of outreach. Speaking about middle of the road, olive branch and whatnot, enter Tim Scott's rebuttal. Now, Tim Scott did a decent job. I think the rebuttal might have been about 15 to 20 minutes. He did a decent job. One thing that he didn't do was stop and get some water or get choked up or foam at the mouth like some of these other guys have done in their rebuttals. I'm not sure why that happens. Maybe they're not really well rested. They're not very well hydrated. Whatever it is, I digress. The whole point is that he did a pretty decent job. It was a middle of the road type speech, olive branch. Hey, I believe in this. You believe in that too, don't you, leftist? That was the whole thing. One part where he did that I didn't like, honestly. I liked most of the talk, don't get it twisted, from Tim Scott. But one part I didn't like was when he was talking about race, saying that, hey, you know what? I've been followed in the store and I've been pulled by police for no reason. I did not like that, because what that does is it kind of aids in this whole victimhood narrative from the left. Do not give them an inch, because they'll take every mile from here to the sun. So I did not like that part. But I like when he was talking about how he grew up and, the single parent household, the poverty, and how he's been able to be successful, how his family went from cotton to Congress in, like 100 years or something like that. I like that part of it right there. That was really good. And he spoke on this hit piece against him, talking about his poverty from childhood wasn't really real because one of his ancestors owned land. It's like, what's that got to do with how Tim Scott grew up in the projects, right? And even if somebody owned land, that does not preclude you from poverty. In South Carolina, where Tim Scott is from, you got people that own land off of them islands, some of the Geechee, and they live in abject poverty. So that is not the same, like owning land is not the equivalent to being wealthy at all. But I think Tim Scott did pretty well. He said that America is not a racist place, although some people who don't like him will use racial slurs against him, and they did not prove him wrong. As soon as he said that, almost immediately, or probably right when he was talking, the term Uncle Tim trended on Twitter. And you know what that is. That's the Uncle Tom. They're calling him Uncle Tim. Black folks, white folks, all kind of so-called progressives were using that kind of language against him because he's a black guy. He's conservative. That's the only reason. So America is not racist. You do have racist people everywhere, all over the world. But America itself, the policies of the country are not racist. Now, the left want to bring racism back. They want to bring segregation back, and they want to have, black folks over here, white folks over there, certain rights for that group, certain rights for this group. They want to bring that back. So what we could do as Americans, as I close, is fight against their racism that they want to bring back. They want to bring it back to the good old days where that was kind of a thing, where racism was etched into the law of the land. We've gotten away from that, but they want to bring it back. So I like what Tim Scott said. I don't see him as a fighter, really. And some people don't like that on the right. It's like, well, we need you guys going to be in there fighting. And I kind of agree to a certain extent, because the left, they've been fighting pretty hard throughout this entire time. So the middle of the road type speech may not necessarily be the best thing. You may need to go, I got to go in there and throw a few punches. But at the same time, I like what he said. Just from the content of the talk, I like the majority of what he said, aside from the whole thing about, well, I get followed in the store and pulled for no reason. It was a good talk. But from Biden, I give him a 0 out of 10, personally. Maybe that's just me being conservative and being biased, maybe so. But I did not see anything in there that was really good. The whole thing with the vaccine, if you are a vaccine type person, that was good. But it wasn't him that did it. It was Trump that did it. And shout out to Tim Scott for giving Trump credit for Operation Warp Speed. Again, not my wave, not my thing, but if you appreciate that, if that's helped you in some kind of way, then bravo. I'm not here to tell you not to do it or to not appreciate it, but Biden cannot take credit for a thing that Trump put into play. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Biden's speech? Was it good, bad, indifferent? Did you watch it, not watch it? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about Tim Scott's rebuttal? And if you don't know, he's Senator from South Carolina. Was it a good rebuttal, bad rebuttal? Could he have done more? Should he have done less? How do you feel about the reaction to his rebuttal from the left? Did it go as predicted? It did for me. But whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I did not like Joe Biden's speech. It was a communist manifesto, in my humble opinion. Tax and spin, talking about January 6th, trying to shame Trump supporters, trying to shame anybody on the right. Just a bunch of nonsense, in my humble opinion. Not a very good talk. I thought Tim Scott did okay. He did pretty well. He could have done better, of course, but he did pretty well. I liked it. And I think that the way he was speaking out there could set him up for a potential run as president, vice president in 2024. Ron DeSantis may be on the same ticket with him. DeSantis president, Tim Scott vice president. Whatever your thoughts on that are, Please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.